Or Chapter 19, Maintenance Rock Drill Attachment. Maintenance rock drill attachment. The maintenance intervals only cover all routine operations, schedule maintenance task, operation maintenance staff. Major overhauls are outside the scope of the section and should be referred to authorized Ingersoll Rand Service Department. Maintenance symbols, visual inspection, lubrication, washing under pressure, reduce oil change, reducer oil change, check tightening. First oil change. Change the drill reducer oil after 50 hours operation. Check the rod change and reducer oil after 150 operation hours. Maintenance intervals. 1,000 hours, 2,000 hours, 10 hours, 50 hours. When required, CB and A. Drifting the chain tension. The adjustment of the carrying out with the chain tension is change tightener AC figure. General speaking, with the chain should not be tightened. The front chain vibrates abnormal during the drilling. Not too loose for the front chain with the lashes once again out against the feed box, the tightener, and extracts against the feed extension cylinder attachment. Change the chain of the way when the tightener is no longer reached for the desired extension. How's real chain tension? It's the same way that the adjustment carried out on the chain tightener B. See, the finger cable should be sag. Alright, the hose tension. Although the hose should be tightened with the expectation driven houses of the P1, P2, which sag with slightly, but they're not under pressure when the pressure tightens those hose. Those hoses went on operation. Chain in replacement. The guide should be put in the hole with the drilling position. Horizontal prevent cradles with sliding when the chain of the rear rope are dismounted. After chaining the rope replacement, moving the drifter pad into the rear of the end of the wrist should verify the distance between the drifter cable and the hose. The reel cradle is 16 to 15 millimeters, plus or minus 15 millimeters, or 2.4 to plus or minus 6 inches. C figure. Your A, B, and C. Adjusting the drill to automation, locking and adjusting screws 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. V1 feed pressure the valve, setting up the machine outside with the suit type with the diameter price setting with the can be made in static mode prior to the drilling, feeding the bit against some of the resistance. Final setting up the full precaution power while the drilling is hardest, most homogeneous component rock is encountered. The MP is the maximum percussion pressure. Instead of the drifter, maximum percussion pressure of the drifting of the cold oil when starting up the factory setting should not be altered. V2, the operating percussion pressure. The setting of the drifter percussion proper to suitability level of the bit side of the whacker harness. The setting should be approximately 200 to 130 bars. And the HC80, 130 to 140, HC120, 140 to 160 bars, HC150, depending on the appropriate drifter power level. V3 drifter power regulation. V3 measures the actual feed of the force of the sensing both forward and return field pressure. The V3 adjusting set of the feed pressure limited below the drifter power will be reduced. The control will continue to reduce the drifter power level to 60 bar and 870 psi preset minimum as the rock's resistance decreases. Feed flow regulator. The flow regulator adjusts the feed maximum of flow site above the drill rate with the hardest rock encounter. The feed flow with the wheel drilling in the soft rock condition reaching the preset maximum. The result of the back pressure makes the feed force of the decrease of the active V3. The acts on both anti-void of the collar for controlling. 6. V4 progressive feed control and anti-jam. V4 is adjustable regulator which senses the pressure differential curve with the rotation of the motor and acts directly upon the feed valve flows. As drilling torques exceed the presetting V4, spools begin to shift to reduce the feed flow. With the restricted feed flow, the result of the lower feed force and the feed motion slows down. As the second step of the separate form of the V4 adjustment described, V3 lowers the drifter and percussion pressure that is responsible to feed the force reduction. Far above the V4 setting, the feed motion will first stop the reverse before the bits get stuck. V4 is made just above the normal drilling conditions to avoid reaction with the homogeneous rock. 7. Flushing control valve. The flushing control valve will fully shift the V4 spool causing the reverse feed motion on the bit with the plug with the drift cycle operation clear with the bit with the bit is retraction. The feature of the fully operative the reverse of percussion drifters. Alright, E53734 pressure gauges. Connect the pressure gauge with the hydraulic dampers to reference to 42501 of the pulsating P1 and the P2 circuits and connect the two other pressure gauges A1 and A2 to the feed circuits. Presetting before the drill, V1, V2, V3, V4, and 5. Machine off. Unlock the safety nut, loosen the V3 screw until the internal spring becomes 3 with the V3 screw, return to the free rotation. Unlocks the safety nut, fully tighten the V2 screw with the hole of the V3 screw to prevent the retightening. Set the feed flow regulator 5 on the position 10. Remove the V4 cap, fully tighten the V4 setting, the machine running. Press the bit against the rock acting on the feed lever. Reset the drilling heat, feed pressure of the V1 setting to the 80 to 100 bar or 1140 to 1430 psi. Preset while drilling. The setting must be carried out while the oil has reached the normal operation temperature. Start drilling, flushing, rotation, precaution feeds in the homogeneous down-fractured rock with drifter precaution and control in the auto position. Set the operating percussion pressure to 100 to 155 bars or 2,000 to 2,215 psi. The HC 150 other or less depending on the bite size, rod diameter, rock hardness, or by loosening the V2 screw. Check the pressure on the P2 gauge. By acting on the V1 screw right, you set the feed pressure with the correcting the couple motion about 1 millimeter vibration coupling and the temperature less than 100 degrees Celsius. Control simultaneously penetration rate with the cooling temperature. If the cooling temperature is above the limit, although the coupling vibration is correct, reduce the operating percussion pressure by tightening V2 screw. Setting while drilling. Adjusting the flow regulator on return A2. While drilling, the starter rod with the rod drill with the highest drilling rate. Progressively close with the flow regulator 5 until the feedback pressure reaches 5 bar. Check the pressure A2 gauge, then reopen the flow regulator 5 by divided by 1 division. For example, the 6 post creates a 5 bar back. Pressure reopen the flow regulator to the 7th position. V3 drift power regulator setting. The setting must be carried out with the drilling conditions to allow the maximum percussion pressure with the actual feed force with the hard on non-fractured rock feedback pressure A2 or equal to 0 bar. The wrench with a wrench hold the V2 square screw in position. Set the V3 until the percussion pressure drops. Check the pressure on the P2 gauge. Loosen so all the recovered initial pressure plus an additional 1/4 turn. While drilling and drifter percussion control, alternatively auto manual position, verify the percussion pressure remains the same. Secure all locking nuts. V4 progressive feeding control setting. While the drill and last rod with the rod drill with the highest rotation torque with the homogeneous ground, loosen the V4 setting until the feedback pressure slightly increases. Check the pressure of the A2 gauge. Then retighten the V4 setting for the 1 turn. Air flushing valve. While the drilling of the drifter percussion control is auto position, switch the off the air flushing and check the drifter reversers. Adjustment drilling automatizations, exceptional adjustment, reverse percussion pressure. Note that full driver reverse percussion pressure is not only attainable with the drilling in the manual position. The factory set pressure is 130 to 1860 psi can be modified in setting the stop screw. Aim to tighten the reduce the pressure, loosen the increase. Check the position and pressure on P2 gauge. Do not exceed 130 bar or 1860 psi. Maximum pressure V2 and number 2 bolt. Alright, A. For checking the setting of the after replacement, disconnect the plug of the drifter percussion hose. Remove the protection cap and loosen the MP maximum percussion pressure relief valve. 2. Set the maximum pressure relief 190 bar 2720 psi. Tighten the relief valve 2. Check the pressure on the P2 gauge. Secure the safety nut. Remount the protection cap. Alright, replacing the rock drill dust and collector filters. Remove the dust collector hopper, releasing the latches. B. Release the filter separating grid. Use the strap wrench and replace the filters. A. The dustbin. B. The latches. Daily maintain the hydraulic dust collector. Start up with the collector. Allow the temperature affecting the hydraulic oil to constantly let the needle warm up before the starting of the dust collector. After starting with the dust collector, first thing that happens is that free cleaning cycle automatically runs with the compress produced with the correcting pressure, allowing the further 1 cleaning cycle without drilling. Check that your dust collector sucks properly, locating at the rubber dump valve of the plastic bag, which shall quickly and strongly be sucked up against the dust collector boom bottom. Check the gasket and pick up of the whole hood A, skirt B, air not worn out. Check the suction hose is not damaged or bent. Every day before stopping the machine, clean filters as described under point 2 above. Alright, maintenance intervals. The CPA should be lowered in the rest position attached with the carrier. With the check the CPA attachment with the carrier boom and with the check all the fixing pins of the secured pressure air oiler or is located on the side of the CPA cradle. Close the oscillation cylinder. Remove the oil filter plug. Oil fill plug position 1 to add oil. Drill the front head of lubrication. Wipe the fitting before lubrication guide. Change ropes and inspection. Examine the front chain and search any of the side wear and corrosion. Replace if required. Examine the whole length of the hose reel. Rope particularly check the attachment points of the tightening of the chain. The wire ropes should not be shown as signs of the abnormal wear flat on the outside strands, crushing the swelling in the frame. In any case, replace the cable immediately if there are at least 2 broken wires in the interval less than 36 millimeters or 1.44 inches, 6 times the nominal diameter of the cable. Other least with the 4 broken wires in the interval less than 7.2 inches, 30 times the nominal diameter of the cable, or if the cable diameter is inferior to 5.4 millimeters or 21/100ths of an inch nominal diameter of the cable less than 10%. Move the drifter and reduce your speed until the reach of the front end of the position. Examine the chain reel in the search for any of the signs of the wear of the corrosion. Replace if required. Every 50 hours, wash the machine, check the tightening fixing cap bolts, wipe all the fittings before lubricating, inspect all the hoses, and replace if damaged. Alright, maintenance intervals. Every 1,000 hours, guide reducer, oil change. Oil changes must be carried out every 1,000 hours, at least once a year. The CPA should be lowered in rest position. Unscrew the top filling plug. Unscrew using the serring. Remove the oil. Reduce with the oil capacity of 0.5 liters. Every 2,000 hour rod change, reducer, oil change. Oil change must be carried out after every 2,000 hour. The CPA should be lowered in the rest position. Open the plugs A and B. Allow the oil to drain. Mount the plug A and fill the reducer with the oil with a capacity of 0.3 liters. Mount the plug B. Your drifter maintenance. Circles, rectangular, circle, square. Daily, lubricate the drift front part with the 5 to 6 shaft with the hand grease and pump. Weekly, check the tighten the drifter mounting bolts. Every 1,000 drilled meters, dismount the shank adapter to check the condition of the splines. Replace the shank if damaged. Check the wear of the flushing nozzle. Bronze bushing front guide of the drifter. Reverse precautions. Maximum wear and shank diameter of the plus 1 millimeter is 400th of an inch. Replace the complete flushing nozzle with the renominated one of the damage. Replace the bronze bushing with the drifter. Reverse precaution. Chapter 20, Maintenance.